Have you ever met someone who acts like the whole world owes them something? Yeah, I did, and her name was Karen, the ultimate HOA nightmare. But get this, it wasn't even Karen herself who started the chaos. It was her daughter. And trust me, the stunt that kid pulled changed everything. Picture this. It's a sunny afternoon. You're lounging in your own backyard, drink in hand, soaking in the peace you worked hard for. The pool sparkles under the light, the sound of the water is calm and steady, and then, out of nowhere, you hear that voice. Mom says this pool should be ours. At first, I laughed. I honestly thought I misheard. My pool, hers? Surely she was joking, but no. Karen's daughter, in all her misplaced confidence, truly believed that because her mom had been on the HOA board for what? 10 minutes? That somehow gave her family rights to my private pool. It would have been hilarious, if it wasn't so alarming. I stared at her, waiting for some kind of punchline. But she just stood there, chin up, radiating the kind of smugness that comes from being told you're always right. "It's fine," she said. "Mom says we're entitled to the pool since it's the most valuable part of the neighborhood." That's when a flicker of unease ran through me. Because I knew Karen. Oh, everyone knew Karen. She had a history, a long, exhausting track record of bending HOA rules to fit her own version of fair. She'd rewritten guidelines, bullied homeowners, and twisted every bylaw until it screamed for mercy. I'd seen her in action, emails dripping with fake politeness, HOA meetings that turned into stage plays for her control issues. But this time it was my backyard, my property, my sanctuary, and I wasn't about to let anyone, even her, decide what was theirs. Still, I wasn't naive. Going toe-to-toe with Karen could get messy. She had influence, friends in the right places, and a knack for playing the victim. But I had something she didn't know: preparation. Every permit, every inspection, every line of legal paperwork for that pool was airtight. I had documented everything. And tucked inside that pile of proof was one golden safety net: contact with the state attorney's office. So, when her daughter strutted across my lawn like she owned the place, I didn't argue. I let her speak. I let her believe that her mom's HOA power was enough to intimidate me. Because when she finally said it, "We're taking your pool," I smiled. This wasn't about a backyard anymore. It was about standing up to entitlement, about showing a certain HOA dynasty that not everyone bows down to authority gone wild. And once that state attorney got looped in, things would escalate faster than even I expected. The very next morning, I knew it was time to get ahead of whatever was coming. Because Karen's daughter, armed with entitlement and a dangerous sense of influence, wasn't done yet. I stepped outside, poolside, ready for a calm conversation. But what I got instead was pure theater. She marched across the lawn like a queen in training, eyes blazing, chin lifted high. "We need to talk about the pool," she announced, voice sharp. Arms folded like she was delivering a court ruling. I gave her my calmest smile, the kind that says, "I know something you don't." "Sure," I said smoothly. "Let's talk." But I wasn't planning to argue. I was planning to teach. Karen's daughter launched into her speech like a young lawyer in training, rattling off fake HOA rules, imaginary clauses, and supposed community entitlements. She quoted her mom like scripture. I listened quietly, nodding now and then, and when I asked questions, each one cut straight through her logic. The more confident she got, the more I enjoyed watching her argument crumble, and then she repeated it, louder this time. "Mom says this pool should be ours." I leaned back against the pool deck, keeping my tone light. "Well, that's interesting," I said, "because I've already checked the legal side of this. And there are very clear laws about property ownership and HOA overreach." That's when it hit her. The first visible crack in her bravado. Her smirk faltered. Her eyes darted. The gears started turning, and then I dropped the bomb. "I've already involved the state attorney." The words hit like thunder. Her eyes went wide, her mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. That disbelief, pure gold, because for the first time, she realized she was dealing with someone who didn't scare easily, someone who knew exactly how to use the system she and her mom had been abusing. For the next hour, I walked her through every fact, every permit, every inspection, Every signature proving that the pool and the property it sat on was 100% legally mine. Every argument she made, I dismantled with calm precision. I didn't have to raise my voice once. The confidence that comes from knowing the truth? It's unmatched. By the time she stomped off, muttering something about calling Mom, I just leaned back in my chair, sipping my drink, enjoying the quiet. Because I knew the peace wouldn't last. Karen wouldn't let her daughter's defeat stand. And sure enough, what came next? That would be the real war. HOA politics, legal threats, and one mother-daughter duo determined to rewrite the rules. But I wasn't just protecting a pool anymore. This was about to get personal. I wasn't just defending a pool anymore. I was defending my sanity, my property, and proving that no amount of HOA arrogance could shake someone who stood on the side of law and logic. If I thought dealing with Karen's daughter had been wild, I was about to find out what happens when the queen herself shows up. Karen, the legend of HOA horror stories, wasn't some casual volunteer with too much free time. She treated community bylaws like a personal battlefield, and now she was coming for me. The next day she arrived at my doorstep, binder in hand, posture sharp, and that unmistakable air of self-importance radiating off her like heat on pavement. I opened the door and greeted her with a polite, firm smile. And there she stood, arms crossed, chin high, expression carved from entitlement. "I hear there's an issue with the pool," she said smoothly, every word dripping with superiority. "I don't understand why my daughter can't enjoy what should be part of our community." Ah, yes, classic Karen logic. If she said it, it must be true. I invited her inside and gestured to a seat. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's that staying calm while someone rants themselves into a corner is far more effective than yelling back. She wasted no time. Binder open, finger jabbing at highlighted sections, she started rattling off rules and precedents, all conveniently bent to fit her fantasy that my private pool somehow belonged to the neighborhood or, better yet, to her family. I let her talk. I nodded when appropriate. The perfect image of patience, all while mentally noting every single exaggeration, misquote, and made-up clause she tried to pass off as gospel. And then, when the timing was right, I made my move. "I've already consulted with the state attorney regarding HOA powers and property rights," I said evenly. It was subtle, but I caught it, a flicker of doubt in her eyes. It was gone in an instant, replaced by her trademark indignation. But I knew I'd hit a nerve without missing a beat. I brought out my own binder, thinner, sure, but packed with real authority. Permits, city approvals, safety inspection reports, copies of state laws. Every document that proved beyond any shadow of a doubt that my pool was 100% private, compliant, and untouchable. Karen flipped through them, her expression tightening with each page. That's the look of a person watching their argument crumble in real time. She tried to recover, tossing out half-baked claims and technicalities, but each one was met with an official counterpoint that shut her down completely. And the best part? She couldn't yell her way through it. She couldn't intimidate, couldn't threaten. Every claim she made ran headfirst into cold. Hard evidence, signed, sealed, and state-approved. Finally, she slammed the binder shut and made her last desperate play. "I'll be escalating this to the HOA board." I leaned forward, calm and measured. "You're welcome to do that," I said, "but just so you know, any further harassment or false claims could result in legal action." That did it. The smirk vanished. The confidence drained from her face. For once, the infamous HOA Karen was facing someone who couldn't be bullied, and it rattled her to the core. She left in a flurry of muttered words about community justice, the sound of her heels fading down my driveway like the closing act of a drama that had finally run out of script. Knew then I'd won. But this wasn't just a win about a pool. It was about principle, about standing firm when faced with people who think rules are suggestions for everyone but themselves. I stepped outside again later that day, watching the sunlight dance across the calm blue water. My backyard, my peace was intact, and it hit me how close I'd come to losing it all to one woman's ego. That's when I realized the best defense isn't confrontation. It's preparation, documentation, and knowing exactly when to call in the experts. And as it turned out, the final chapter of this whole saga wasn't written by Karen. It was written by her daughter. The day after Karen's meltdown, I expected tension, cold stares, maybe another petty complaint. But instead, I looked up from my lounge chair to see her daughter standing at the edge of my property. Quiet, hesitant, small, no strut, no demands, no smug grin. "Just silence, hi," she said softly, eyes downcast. The fiery arrogance she'd once worn like armor was gone. I gestured for her to come closer, curious how this was about to unfold. I guess we were wrong," she said finally, her voice trembling. "Mom told me we could have it, but I guess that wasn't true." And just like that, the air shifted. The war was over. What was left was a teenager realizing the cost of misplaced trust. I nodded gently. "It's all right," I said. "You're learning something important about respect and boundaries and what it means to earn things instead of demand them." She smiled a little, embarrassed but sincere. I didn't think anyone would actually stand up to her. That line hit me harder than I expected. Because she was right. Most people didn't. This wasn't just about the pool anymore. It was about teaching a lesson that went deeper than property lines or HOA guidelines. It was about life, accountability, and the power of standing your ground the right way. Word got around fast, of course. Karen tried her best to spin the story, claiming some kind of moral victory in the next HOA newsletter. But everyone knew the truth. The legal documents, the witnesses, the laughter at the next community meeting, Karen had been outmaneuvered. The combination of calm strategy, airtight preparation, and unshakable patience had turned what could have been a neighborhood nightmare into a case study in quiet resilience. My pool stayed mine. My peace was restored. And Karen's credibility? Let's just say it's divided. She wouldn't recover from any time soon. As for her daughter, something changed. She started showing up at community events, polite, respectful, even helpful. The kind of change you can't teach, you have to earn through experience. There's a quiet satisfaction in victories like that. The kind that don't make headlines but leave lasting lessons. Sitting by my pool that evening, watching the sunset paint the water in gold, I reflected on everything. This wasn't a story about HOA disputes. It was about standing up for yourself without losing your cool, turning anger into action and arrogance into accountability, because sometimes the best victories aren't loud. They're calm, composed, and absolutely undeniable. And as I leaned back in my chair, that last ray of sunlight reflecting off the water, I smiled. Karen and her daughter had underestimated me, and I had the final laugh, state attorney included. So, if you enjoyed this wild ride, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe for more insane HOA tales and drop a comment below, because I'd love to hear what you would have done in my place.